Welcome to our video series, Conceptual Relationships of Words in the English Language. In this series, we present English vocabulary in a structured and hierarchical manner. Each video showcases a range of terms and their corresponding definitions, presented in an organized sequence from broader concepts to more specific details. The series is divided into playlists, videos, and sections, each delving into distinct aspects of the English language. To get the most out of these videos, here are some of the suggested uses. We will be using WordNet as our primary reference throughout the series. For detailed information about WordNet, please visit the official WordNet website. If you're new to our channel, we recommend starting with our introductory videos. They provide essential context for understanding our approach, purpose, and methodology. For simpler navigation, we presented an outline of the terms and relationships in one of these introductory videos. Remember to show your support by liking, commenting, sharing, and subscribing to our channel. In this episode, we will explore human, heredity, and body-related properties. It will cover properties usually used to describe human, as well as properties related to heredity, human disposition, and bodily properties. This video is part of the playlist attribute. Attribute playlist is one of two playlists devoted for the conceptual domain attribute. Attributes are linguistic elements that serve as modifiers to provide descriptive information about another word. They convey qualities, characteristics, or properties associated with the entities they modify, enriching the meaning and context of the expression. Section 1. In this section we will explore the property disposition.
Property. Property.
A basic or essential attribute shared by all members of a class.
A study of the physical properties of atomic particles.
Disposition. Disposition.
A natural or acquired habit or characteristic tendency in a person or thing.
A swelling with a disposition to rupture.
Aptness. Aptness.
A disposition to behave in a certain way.
The propensity of disease to spread.
Mordacity. Mordacity.
A disposition to biting.
Predisposition. Predisposition.
A disposition in advance to react in a particular way.
Proneness. Proneness.
Being disposed to do something.
Accident proneness.
Separatism. Separatism.
A disposition toward schism and secession from a larger group, the principles and practices of separatists.
Demands for some form of separatism on grounds of religion have been perceived as a threat to mainstream education.
Tendency. Tendency.
A characteristic likelihood of our natural disposition toward a certain condition or character or effect.
The alkaline inclination of the local waters.
Buoyancy. Buoyancy.
The tendency to float in water or other liquid.
Desire. Desire.
An inclination to want things.
A man of many desires.
Greed. Greed.
Excessive desire to acquire or possess more, especially more material wealth, than one needs or deserves.
Acquisitiveness. Acquisitiveness.
Strong desire to acquire and possess.
Bibliomania. Bibliomania.
Preoccupation with the acquisition and possession of books.
Retentiveness. Retentiveness.
The property of retaining possessions that have been acquired.
Avarice. Avarice.
Extreme greed for material wealth.
Possessiveness. Possessiveness.
Excessive desire to possess or dominate.
Hunger. Hunger.
Strong desire for something, not food or drink.
A thirst for knowledge.
Electronegativity. Electronegativity.
Chemistry, the tendency of an atom or radical to attract electrons and the formation of an ionic bond.
Heterosis. Heterosis.
Genetics, the tendency of a crossbred organism to have qualities superior to those of either parent.
Stainability. Stainability.
Cytology, the capacity of cells or cell parts to stain specifically with certain dyes.
Basophilia. Basophilia.
The tendency of cells to stain with basic dyes.
Cytoplasmic basophilia.
Section 2. In this section we will explore some miscellaneous properties such as selectivity and heredity.
Analyticity. Analyticity.
The property of being analytic.
Extension. Extension.
The ability to raise the working leg high in the air.
Good extension comes from a combination of training and native ability.
Fullness. Fullness.
The property of a sensation that is rich and pleasing.
He was well aware of the richness of his own appearance.
Selectivity. Selectivity.
The property of being selective.
Heredity. Heredity.
The total of inherited attributes.
Inheritance. Inheritance.
Genetics, attributes acquired via biological heredity from the parents.
Ancestry. Ancestry.
Inherited properties shared with others of your bloodline.
Origin. Origin.
Properties attributable to your ancestry.
He comes from good origins.
Full blood. Full blood.
Descent from parents both of one pure breed.
Pedigree. Pedigree.
Ancestry of a purebred animal.
Linkage. Linkage.
Genetics, traits that tend to be inherited together as a consequence of an association between their genes. All of the genes of a given chromosome are linked. Where one goes, they all go.
X-linked dominant inheritance. X-linked dominant inheritance.
Hereditary pattern in which a dominant gene on the X chromosome causes a characteristic to be manifested in the offspring.
X-linked recessive inheritance. X-linked recessive inheritance.
Hereditary pattern in which a recessive gene on the X chromosome results in the manifestation of characteristics in male offspring, and a carrier state in female offspring.
Section 3. In this section we will explore some bodily properties that we usually associate with a measure, such as fatness, leanness and stature.
Bodily property. Bodily property.
An attribute of the body.
Fatness. Fatness.
Excess bodily weight.
She disliked fatness in herself as well as in others.
Abdominousness. Abdominousness.
The bodily property of a protruding belly.
Adiposity. Adiposity.
Having the property of containing fat.
He recommended exercise to reduce my adiposity.
Fleshiness. Fleshiness.
More than average fatness.
Corpulence. Corpulence.
The property of excessive fatness.
Exogenous obesity. Exogenous obesity.
Obesity caused by overeating.
Plumpness. Plumpness.
The bodily property of being well-rounded.
Buxomness. Buxomness.
The bodily property of being attractively plump and vigorous and, of women, full-bosomed.
Chubbiness. Chubbiness.
The property of having a plump and round body.
Greasiness. Greasiness.
Consisting of or covered with oil.
Steatopygia. Steatopygia.
An extreme accumulation of fat on the buttocks.
Leanness. Leanness.
The property of having little body fat.
Boniness. Boniness.
Extreme leanness, usually caused by starvation or disease.
Skinniness. Skinniness.
The bodily property of lacking flesh.
Slenderness. Slenderness.
The property of an attractively thin person.
Wiriness. Wiriness.
The property of being lean and tough and sinewy.
Stature. Stature.
Of a standing person, the distance from head to foot.
Shortness. Shortness.
The property of being shorter than average stature.
Tallness. Tallness.
The property of being taller than average stature.
Vascularity. Vascularity.
The property being vascular.
A prominent vascularity.
Viability. Viability.
Of living things, capable of normal growth and development.
Section 4. In this section we will explore some bodily properties that we usually use to describe bodies such as physique and carriage.
Physique. Physique.
Constitution of the human body.
Body type. Body type.
A category of physique.
Asthenic type. Asthenic type.
Slender, weak, and lightweight.
Athletic type. Athletic type.
Muscular and big-boned.
Endomorphy. Endomorphy.
Round, fat, and heavy.
Dumpiness. Dumpiness.
A short and stout physique.
Lankiness. Lankiness.
A tall and thin physique.
Carriage. Carriage.
Characteristic way of bearing one's body.
Stood with good posture.
Awkwardness. Awkwardness.
The carriage of someone whose movements and posture are ungainly or inelegant.
Gawkiness. Gawkiness.
The carriage of someone whose movements and posture are extremely ungainly and inelegant.
Gracelessness. Gracelessness.
An unpleasant lack of grace in carriage or form or movement or expression.
Stiffness. Stiffness.
The property of moving with pain or difficulty.
He awoke with a painful stiffness in his neck.
Gracefulness. Gracefulness.
Beautiful carriage.
Agility. Agility.
The gracefulness of a person or animal that is quick and nimble.
Grace. Grace.
Elegance and beauty of movement or expression.
A beautiful figure which she used in subtle movements of unparalleled grace.
Lissomeness. Lissomeness.
The gracefulness of a person or animal that is flexible and supple.
Slouch. Slouch.
A stooping carriage in standing and walking.
Walk. Walk.
Manner of walking.
He had a funny walk.
Laterality. Laterality.
Superior development of one side of the body.
Section 5. In this section we will explore some body positions.
Position. Position.
The arrangement of the body and its limbs.
He assumed an attitude of surrender.
Asana. Asana.
Hinduism, a posture or manner of sitting, as in the practice of yoga.
Matsyendra. Matsyendra.
Hinduism, a religious posture.
Ballet position. Ballet position.
Classical position of the body and especially the feet in ballet.
Arabesque. Arabesque.
Position in which the dancer has one leg raised behind and arms outstretched in a conventional pose.
Decubitus. Decubitus.
A reclining position, as in a bed.
Ectopia. Ectopia.
Abnormal position of a part or organ, especially at the time of birth.
Everzion. Everzion.
The position of being turned outward.
The aversion of the foot.
Guard. Guard.
A posture of defense in boxing or fencing.
Keep your guard up.
Lithotomy position. Lithotomy position.
A position lying on your back with knees bent and thighs apart, assumed for vaginal or rectal examination.
Lotus position. Lotus position.
A sitting position with the legs crossed, used in yoga.
Missionary position. Missionary position.
A position for sexual intercourse, a man and woman lie facing each other with the man on top, so called because missionaries thought it the proper position for primitive peoples.
Order arms. Order arms.
A position in the manual of arms, the rifle is held vertically on the right side with the butt on the ground, often used as a command.
Pose. Pose.
A posture assumed by models for photographic or artistic purposes.
Presentation. Presentation.
Obstetrics, position of the fetus in the uterus relative to the birth canal.
Caesarean sections are sometimes the result of abnormal presentations.
Sprawl. Sprawl.
An ungainly posture with arms and legs spread about.
Stance. Stance.
Standing posture.
Address. Address.
The stance assumed by a golfer in preparation for hitting a golf ball.
Attention. Attention.
A motionless erect stance with arms at the sides and feet together, assumed by military personnel during drill or review.
The troops stood at attention.
Erectness. Erectness.
The property of being upright in posture.
Tuck. Tuck.
Sports, a bodily position adopted in some sports, such as diving or skiing, in which the knees are bent and the thighs are drawn close to the chest.
Section 6. In this section we will explore some physiological properties.
Bipedalism. Bipedalism.
The bodily attribute of being bipedal, having 2 feet.
Bipedalism made the human form of birth possible.
Physiological property. Physiological property.
A property having to do with the functioning of the body.
Animateness. Animateness.
The property of being animated, having animal life as distinguished from plant life.
Animation. Animation.
The property of being able to survive and grow.
The vitality of a seed.
Sentience. Sentience.
The readiness to perceive sensations, elementary or undifferentiated consciousness, Richard Eberhardt.
Gave sentience to slugs and newts.
Asexuality. Asexuality.
Having no evident sex or sex organs.
Inanimateness. Inanimateness.
Not having life.
Deadness. Deadness.
The inanimate property of something that has died.
Insentience. Insentience.
Lacking consciousness or ability to perceive sensations.
Sex. Sex.
The properties that distinguish organisms on the basis of their reproductive roles.
She didn't want to know the sex of the fetus.
Androgyny. Androgyny.
Showing characteristics of both sexes.
Femaleness. Femaleness.
The properties characteristic of the female sex.
Maleness. Maleness.
The properties characteristic of the male sex.
Virility. Virility.
The masculine property of being capable of copulation and procreation.
Physiology. Physiology.
Processes and functions of an organism.
End of episode. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe to our channel for more engaging content. In the next episode, we will present Attribution.